Rick, I have 5:30.
Okay, well, we'll call the meeting to order.
Hey, can you start the recording?
Recording in progress.
Thank you.
Very good. Jerry, you want to read?
Ground rules that we 2 years ago. Be positive and respectful of others. Be on time to the meeting from breaks. Cell phone reminder, turn to silent. Take the call outside. Be quiet when others are speaking. Raise your hand if you want to speak. Stay on track when a topic is being talked about. Come prepared. Don't discuss personal issues. Doing. The chairperson is in charge. If you have a question, it's okay to ask your facilitator for help.
And for those of you that are via Zoom in the audience here, we have Bob Best, Jason Willis, Selena Hunter, and Ike Brunette. And for those of you in the audience on Zoom here, we have Noreen and Steve Roberts, Larry Percy, Mr. and Mrs. Bell, CJ Thompson, Barry, Dave Gilly, and Steve Barrup.
First thing up for approved minutes of 12/2 meeting.
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes of 12/2 meeting.
I'll second that.
Oh, okay, you second that? Any admissions or corrections?
I didn't say anything.
I didn't say anything. You, Steve?
I did not. Everything is fine.
Okay. Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
All right.
Aye,
Aye.
okay. Minutes passed. Okay, we have appearances by local citizens. Anybody here have anything they'd like to bring up?
Yep. Barry's got his hand up.
All right, go ahead, Barry.
All right. Yes, I've been here for 5 years now, and I've been trying to just have discussions on some of the laws in our Constitution, and it hasn't worked thus far. And today, I have a few things I'd like to discuss. In particular, is laws and statutes. I have experienced in the last year or two an escalation of everybody having their own interpretation of the law. Some of the laws are way off, and a meeting at the beginning of 2021, I tried to get some clarity on it. I was muted 6 times and thrown out of the meeting, and it turned into a horror show. And I don't like it, and I'm going to have some discussion on that meeting. That was terrible. A lot of non-compliance issues, but not today on that. So here's what I like to do. Okay, first I'd like to quote some statutes that, explain what the select board has to do with the laws. Now, I've seen Denise has her own laws, and I'll quote you on the end if you wish to hear them. Steve Barrup has his own set of laws, and Waterman has his own set of laws. And all of them are conflicting with what is really happening. I've studied the laws for 5 years now, municipal law in particular, and so I'd like to discuss it because the way the law works is that if you inadvertently use these laws incorrectly, you can get a break, from the courts and stuff like that. But now, if I tell you what these laws are, you no longer have that get out of jail free card of saying, I inadvertently didn't know the law. So here we go here. So this is a little wordy, this first statement I'm doing, but it's a quote from the municipal law, the municipal laws I received from the Secretary of State. It says, as early as 1931, the Vermont Supreme Court, in its opinion of Village of Morrisville versus Valor or something, quoted, Judge Dillon's publication was quoted of municipal corporations. He says, it is a general and undisputed proposition law that municipal corporation, that would be the select board, possess and can exercise the following powers and no others. There's a few of them, but this one is what I want to really talk about. First, those granted in express words. Something that is a statute, express the words. And there's another term I'd like to introduce. It says, furthermore, not simply convenient, something you make up that isn't quite accurate, but indispensable. Indispensable means that you can't take one law, take a piece of it out, and then put another law and come up with your own law. It's got to be expressly in words, like a statute. It's got to be the exact statute, no variations of it. Okay, so okay. This means that the town and its voters or select board have no authority beyond which is given by statute, or that which is necessarily implied by a statute. Accordingly, municipal officials must check all relevant statutes before acting to ensure that they will comply with the specific requirements of the enabling legislation. Bear with me, I have specific points that refer to what the select board does and what I do. So one of the things that's been bothering me, and I finally figured it out, and I got some help from Jenny at the Secretary of State, is this our water system and how we're not allowed to even know anything that's going on at this point. We don't know anything. There is a water committee, but I don't know whether it exists or not, but we're not getting any, we know nothing about it. There's numerous meetings, there's contracts being signed, and Steve Barrup was delegated to sign the orders. That's what it's called technically. So they get together with the Elliott Aldridge engineers, and they get together, and no one else goes, no one else signs the orders. The other two select board don't even go or don't even know what's going on, which is an issue. So, and Denise came up with this law or whatever. It's not really a law, and I dispute it today. And she says, because Steve was delegated to sign all the contracts and everything, and the other two selectmen weren't there, it wasn't a quorum, so therefore she doesn't have to take minutes. And she doesn't have to do a lot of things that are required when it's a quorum. We're going to clear that up today. So the thing is, you are required to be a quorum, even though the other two select board members are not there. They are required to know what's going on. And let me read you the law so you'll understand. First of all, the law you quoted to me, Denise, and you last email you said, let me make myself very clear. This is the law, VSA 312. And that was the quote of, since the other selectmen don't go because Steve's delegated, then you don't have a quorum, and you don't have to do all these things that you normally do. You don't have to be transparent. So here's the thing. So Jenny Prosser, I told her about this, and I told you about it too. And you just blew it off. And I said, they're telling me that what you're doing is wrong. Now, they can't give me advice, but she gave me the proper law that affects this delegation of Steve Barrup. It is called Orders Drawn by Municipal Bodies. Okay? Signing orders. Number 24 VSA 1623. Signing orders. Okay. So here it is right here. Authorize, the select board may do either of the following. Authorize one or more members of the board to examine and allow claims against to the town for town expenses and draw orders for such claims to the party entitled to payment. Okay, so we do that. Steve Barrup does that. Orders shall definitely state the purpose of which each is drawn and shall serve as full authority to the treasurer to make payments. Okay, that makes sense? The select board shall be provided with a record of orders drawn under this subdivision, number 1, which I just read you, whenever orders are signed by less than a majority of the board. You notice it doesn't say it's not a quorum. It's still a quorum. The other two selectmen are supposed to be given reports and be a part of it. Do you get reports, Jerry, on these,
At the very next meeting, we did, yes.
we're talking about a year of signing orders. I mean, 2 years. Did you get those, do you know what's going on in
When-
those?
when-
The orders.
The orders were signed at our meeting when after.
No,
Steve
wait a minute, wait a
went-
minute.
Steve-
Wait a minute. I just read you the law. It said it's got to be specifically by the words of the law. I just read you the law. It says the select board shall be provided with a record of orders drawn under this subdivision whenever orders are signed by less than a majority of the board. So you should have seen dozens of orders by now. You should have been aware of what's going on. How about you, Rick? Did you see any of those?
I've seen several of them.
You did. They exist
Sure.
then. Well, Denise, I'd like to see those orders you gave to Rick. I have a right to see them. Do they exist? I don't think so. I don't think the orders were ever done. I asked Denise,
Would you like me to answer?
what?
Mary, would you like me to answer your question or not?
I can't hear you. Get closer to the mic or something.
I said, do you want me to answer your question or not?
No, you already answered it. You told me you did not. I have this on an email. You said you did not give orders or reports to those two. I wanted to know what they said. I have that on an email you wrote me. I asked you, do you give them reports of what's going on? Do you take minutes? Do you take minutes at these? Okay, because you have to take minutes. It says right here. Submit to the town treasurer a certified copy. This is what Steve is supposed to do. With a record of orders drawn under the subdivision whenever the orders, okay, I read that. Submit to the town treasurer a certified copy of those portions of the select board minutes properly signed by the clerk and the chair. Did you get a certified copy and sign them, Rick? Steve? You're not going to answer me?
Who? You want me to answer you?
Steve Barrup, did you do as the law says?
Yes.
Okay, wait a minute. You submitted a certified copy. I'd like to see that certified copy of those portions of the select board minutes properly signed by the clerk and the chair. That would be you. Or by a majority of the board showing to whom and for what purpose each payment is to be made by the treasurer. The certified copy of the minutes shall serve as full authority to the treasurer to make the approved payments. And
Mary, what you're talking about are board orders.
Denise, please. I have heard enough of your obfuscations of the laws. I have another thing too. I want to read before you say anything. Most of your interpretation of the law is way off. And you know a lot of law, but this water system, I don't know why you're covering up for him. I don't know why we're not getting transparency. Okay.
You get them every month, Mary. Look back on your report.
I do not. I have
give
never
you-
seen a report of what they did at those meetings. Never. I never.
Well-
I didn't see a report that says what they signed for, what they're buying, what they're doing. That's a report. Never. You get
Yes, you get one every single month, Mary.
not a
The
chance.
select board
Not a
signs
chance.
orders.
I've never received one, Denise. I've never received one. Okay, let's leave it. I don't believe you. I've never received one. I see one line in the minutes that said met with signed a contract. It doesn't say what it was for. I just read it for you explicitly what the money was used for, and the other two select board have to be involved. And you know why? Here's the law that says. It says.
You get a copy of the board orders, or you used to whenever you request them. That's the bill. Every single dollar that is spent in the town
No,
is
no,
approved
no, I don't.
at a
I have
regular.
never seen what you I don't know what you're spending the money on. Maybe you say we spent $10,000. No explanation on what you spent it on. And if you mute me to this time, Steve, because you don't want to answer my questions, I'm going to have an issue with that. I got muted 6 times last time because I was asking questions, and what I get is obfuscation of the questions. Go off on the deep end, and then I don't accept those. I want answers, explicit answers.
Yep, yes.
Can't talk when you're talking.
Okay, so hang on. I got to get this part. It said this is done. The other 2 selectmen have to see these reports to make sure that what Steve is doing is makes sense and is what's the word? Well, I guess I don't have it here, but it is to balance, to make sure that he's making the right decisions. If they don't know what's going on, how do we know that you're making the right decisions? One man calling the shots. Those 2, I don't know what's going on. They don't get reports. I would like to see one report that you wrote as required by law going to Jerry or going to Rick. We're talking 3 years here of signing, 2 years, over 2 years, spending $1 million on grant money, and you're telling me that you gave them reports as required. The select board be provided with a record of orders drawn under the subdivision whenever this is a law. This is a statute, not a law, by the letter of the statute. So because you don't take minutes, you said that, I have that on a meeting. I mean, an email you sent me. I asked you about it. So don't tell me you did it. I have that. I'm here trying to get some clarity. I don't know. I pay the water bill. You don't, Denise. Steve doesn't. But I am not allowed to know what's going on, which is by statute, accountability, because you came up with this with obfuscation of the law. You said a meeting is not a meeting. Explain that. How a meeting is not a meeting because a delegation was given to Steve, and as the Secretary of State told me, the law you got, Kev, doesn't say anything about delegation. It's a totally different law. What you did was dispensed the law to make it right for yourself, for Steve, and so I have issue with that. And it's here it is. This it is. I'll give it to you again. 24 municipal number title 24 VSA 1623 signing orders. That's what this is about. Now that's a statute. You can't dispense it and take it out and say, oh, it's another statute. That's the problem. And that has been going on for 100 years. And, hang on, I'm not finished, please. So this is a statute. Now, if we went to court, if you started saying things like that in the courtroom, it wouldn't work. Going off and using, employing confusion, which is called subterfuge and, question dodging. That's what it is, basically. So, okay, now, so the,
Mr. Gelli,
for example,
Can Mr. Gelli speak?
okay, here it is.
Can you hear
Wait a
me?
minute, I found it. For example, it says, an individual member of the board does not have power to negotiate or speak for the board. The law provides some exceptions. This is the laws. For example, the select board may vote to authorize an individual select member to examine the bills for town expenses and draw orders to pay them in between meetings. In such a situation, each member of the board is provided with a record of the orders drawn so they can be sure that the individual select board member, Steve Barrup, is acting appropriately. I say he isn't. I say he isn't. I have a lot of evidence. I'm not going into it now. It's a lot of history. $400,000 in money spent for hauling water instead of fixing the between 2012 and 15, buying water instead of fixing the problem which you had the money to do. $400,000. It's all documented what happened, and our water bill doubled. And now it went up again. And in a year, we don't know what's going on. You're signing contracts, spending money. We don't know what's going on. We're not allowed because a meeting is not a meeting. So this is my problem. We have the right to know what you spend the money on, what you're doing, but we don't because we have this little subterfuge. No, obfuscation. Obfuscation is creating statements that cause confusion so you don't know what's going on.
Somebody else would like to talk here. Somebody else would like to get their 2 cents in.
All right, 1 second. I'll
Mr.
be
Gillum?
finished. I'll be finished in 1 second, and I'll listen to him. And I know it's not going to be good. He's going to be another one. Give me laws that he assumes are there.
I have no laws.
What do you have? I'm being impolite, or something like that.
Please continue. Finish up, please.
All right. So we have that, and I want to make sure I got everything. Yeah, that's it. We need to know. And I'll tell you what, I'm gonna get transparency on it. You can't do that. You can't deny us transparency. You cannot. And I am gonna do what needs to be done. I'm gonna use the laws. But you know what happens when I use the laws? All of a sudden, someone will come in and threaten me, urged by Steve. A next cop come in and Steve says, Bob Best, you have anything to say to him? He urges him on. You know what I mean? And I don't want to go on with
Okay.
No. I don't.
Yeah, we don't need to listen to that.
Don't need that.
I
So,
just muted him.
Unmute me.
okay,
Okay, I'm
Mr. Gilly,
You don't
I have a
need to
few
listen
things-
to me. You do need to listen to me. It is.
we don't need to listen to that.
Barry,
What?
please.
You don't need. What is that?
I'm talking.
What
Barry,
is that?
I'm
What is that? What? I
Barry.
want to hear. What is that?
Barry, I'm
Okay.
speaking now.
Yeah.
We let you speak. I'm just curious, does not the Water Commission meet regularly? Steve,
When they call a meeting, we all get together, yes. And it's not a
And-
regular thing. It was regular at the time that the system was being built and the discussions were going on. What
And-
Barry is talking about is the engineering meetings that the select board had appointed me as a representative for the town to sit in on the construction meetings. I was there along with the USDA and with Forcier and Aldrich, or Aldrich and Elliott. They had an engineer on site, and we listened to the progress of the system, where it was at, any change orders that came in. We had to discuss those to see if they met the criteria that was. And then at the end of the meeting, this is a Aldrich and Elliott meeting, we all signed off and agreed to present to the select board those bills for payment. At that point, all of the bills went to the select board and we authorized them at a warned meeting. I was only there as a representative of the town in the project. This has been explained a number of times.
thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Moving
Unmute
right
me,
along.
please. Unmute me,
Anybody
please.
else have anything for?
I want to know what he meant. What
Well,
you meant
he's mute.
about that's not allowed.
Barry, you
Unmute me, please.
Barry, you muted yourself.
Barry, you gotta
Unmute me,
unmute
please.
yourself.
Huh? What?
Barry,
Unmute me, please.
muted, unmute yourself.
We can't hear you. Yeah, unmute yourself.
I just asked him to unmute.
Barry. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, I got it.
He muted himself again.
I
You
didn't.
muted yourself again, Barry. We're not doing that. You did it.
All right. You got here.
There you go.
All right.
We can hear you now.
What were you want? What did you want to say? Not to bring up that. the threats I got, you don't want to bring that up. I know why. But I'm not going to go into that. I won't go into that. But this happened. I've been threatened numerous times. And just recently, that last meeting I was talking about, I was muted 10 times and put out of the meeting because people didn't want to answer questions. And as far as Steve goes, I just read you the laws. You said you were just there as attending the meeting. No, you were there to sign orders, and you are there to sign orders. It's a statute. Once again,
Well, we're gonna have to agree to disagree on that. So,
well, here's the okay. This is the law. Didn't you hear the law? I said signing
statute.
orders. That was a law.
Yeah.
That's a statute.
yeah, we gotta move on now.
Harry,
Yeah,
We've got a lot to do tonight.
Okay,
that's all right. We'll come back. We'll come back and discuss this at another time. I need it documented anyway.
okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Okay, thank you too.
Appearances by other citizens? Anybody else have anything else?
Anybody else on that?
Anybody else on here have anything else? No? All right.
Pete?
Discuss the petition regarding ATV traffic on town highways.
Can I speak to that?
Sure.
There was a petition for the people that are on the web and or there that came before the select board to have us revisit our unanimous vote to a majority vote. That's the simplest thing on it. There's some other things, there's some language issues. I did take some time and met with Chris Donovan. And in this petition, the last sentence says this petition requests that the select board vote on this or put on the warning for the 2022 town meeting. So I would like to get discussion going relative to this petition. I would like to make a motion for the select board and or its representative to meet with the club and or its representative for the purpose of addressing the issues brought forth in the petition.
I would like to speak on this. This is Harry Bell.
Can I just ask Steve, I couldn't write fast enough, the board or its representative to meet with the club or its representative, and what did you say after that?
I didn't hear her. She needs to get more.
Steve, I can't, after you said, the board or its representative to meet with the club or its representative, what did you say after that?
For the purpose of addressing the issues brought forth in the petition.
Okay, thank you.
You meant
You're welcome.
Yes.
You made that as a motion?
I did make that as a motion.
I'll second that.
I would like to speak on the petition. This is Harry Bell.
Go ahead, Mr. Bell.
Okay. I have significant concerns about the validity of this petition. I saw that the version we got at least had 20 names on it. 7 of those I think were crossed off as being non-residents. 6 of them. We discussed the petition with our neighbor whose name appeared on it. They did not recall signing that petition. They, in fact, delivered a letter to the board requesting that their name be removed from the petition because they disagreed with it wholeheartedly. So given that record of signature gathering, I question how the petition can be considered legitimate without some kind of further confirmation that the people whose names appear on it intend to appear on it.
Okay. You kind of faded off at the end, Mr. Bell.
I'm sorry, where did I lose you?
Well, just at the very end.
Okay, well, the very end was that I question the validity of the petition because I'm not sure, I don't have any confidence that the people whose names appear on it intend their names to appear on it.
Okay, thank you. I'll read what's on what's given to me here. The citizens, oh,
You
okay.
could read it though for the recording.
I can read it for the recording here. The citizens of the town of Newport hereby petition the select board to change their ATV policy to open town highways to Vasta as a connector trail from a unanimous vote to a majority vote of the property owners on the requested road. The petitioners request that the select board vote on this or put on the warning for the 2022 town meeting.
This isn't all the names. There's more names. They just gave us the.
I remember what it's regarding now. I can remember when you guys want 100% of the residents on the road to
Yeah.
open up.
Members are not close enough to the microphone to be heard over the Zoom meeting.
Oh, okay, thank you. Any further discussion?
Yes,
Mr. Bell?
I already raised an objection. I would like the board to comment on that. There's no point in moving forward with this if you don't have a valid petition in front of you.
Okay, well, apparently we've got, in front of me, I've got 14 signatures on a petition, and you have more?
Mhm.
You have more, I don't know, how many you have total?
I've got 101 that are on the petition for Newport Town residents.
Okay, we only saw a portion of that. Apparently, we were provided a copy of that, but it only included the first page apparently. But even
Right.
that first page, almost 50% of it were erroneous signatures.
Yeah. This isn't so, in talking with the Secretary of State's office, this isn't so much a petition as a request to the select board to change a policy that they made at a select board level.
All right.
That's the way that this actually technically reads.
Okay, in that case, I would like to speak to the actual request. And
Yeah.
that we have great concern that this is turning into an annual event that regardless of what benefits this club is getting from the city, that the next year they come back requesting yet more. And I think that the city has been more than generous in what it's been offering this special group, essentially turning over city resources to a single recreational community. They've gotten what they asked for, and I question the town needing to go any further in their quest to enrich this group. I'm also very concerned that this, again, is taking people who have a financial interest in maintaining the town's class 4 roads and forcing them to participate in this, costing them money without their consent. So that's why the original language was there, that it had to be a unanimous vote, because you're basically voting money out of people's pockets by not taking getting everyone's agreement to open up their roads to this increased traffic.
Thank you. Mr. Gilly?
Hey, do you think this would be wise to put it on our 2022 town meeting agenda?
I can't answer that right now. Yeah, Steve's got a comment. Go ahead, Steve.
I'd like to speak to both of the comments from Mr. Bell and Mr. Gelly, is that the ultimate responsibility for the roads is with the select board. And the unanimous and or majority vote that they're asking us to is not even in our policy. That is something that the select board, it's an unwritten thing. And I think that it needs to be put into the policy. And I think it needs to be worked out with the club and or the select board, like my motion stated. It is the responsibility of the select board in the end. It has nothing to do with people putting together a petition and trying to get roads open. The select board has that authority. And if we as a select board want to disperse or do away with that authority, then that does have to be done at town meeting in a duly warned special, what do you want to call this, petition. And that is not what this is addressing. It is also the responsibility of the select board to put forward to anyone at town meeting something that is clear and precise to vote on. It has to be, that is in the statutes that the select board has that, so we could change all the language of this petition to get the intent of the people that signed it to vote on it at town meeting. So that's why I think it has a lot of issues in it now that need to be cleaned up. I think the select board needs to sit down with the club. And I mean, these are open meetings for everybody to come into and work this out. So that's what was my motion.
Glad to hear that, and I just request that I be included as an invitee to any such meetings.
Certainly.
Dwight?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that it's clear in statute that anything that's assigned to the select board by the legislature is not something that could be changed under petition. So petitioning, you know, and putting a petition into the town meeting isn't allowed because it's not something that can be voted upon in that session. It's totally up to the town legislature to select board to do.
I believe that's what Steve just was referring to.
I'm just being,
Okay.
And
Okay.
I have copies of the statute. I'm
Yep.
happy to give them to you, but you know, I'm sure that's exactly what Steve was alluding to, but it's actually, you know, what he was talking about is actually the statute.
Yep.
It's there for all to see, as well as the ATV law, which states that it's up to the town legislature, the select board to determine that. So that's how that works.
Okay. Anybody else? All right, so we still have a motion on the floor. It's been seconded. So all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. No opposed. So your motion passes, and hopefully we'll be sitting down with the club and trying to hash things out. Okay.
Supposed to vote on it. It seems to me like you're talking about this, you know, so you should have some people that this is a fact, you know, participate.
Anybody's welcome to it when we have the meeting. You will be
Right.
notified.
But Steve said he was going to talk to the club, and he didn't say that he was.
Well, not necessarily the club or their representatives.
Right,
Yeah.
but he didn't say people affected.
And the landlord.
Oh, no, well, he did say to Mr. Bell that it's open to the public, so anybody can come.
And I think he was referring to the board
Anyone.
who's going to talk to the.
That anybody can come to these meetings. And we welcome people coming to these meetings. So we'll have to set something up at some time. And
Yep.
either the next board meeting or something.
Okay. All right, so, Dave, you have something on the Northeast Kingdom broadband?
A few updates. Yes, please. We got a ton of fiber optic cable bought and stored in facilities. We're gearing up for stuff to happen this spring. The big push is going to be Essex County coming up. And the other interesting thing is we are trying to get with VTC and build an apprentice training program for telecommunication line workers. And VTC has got instructors. We got a plan in place to get stuff going in February to provide training at earn as you work training for people to actually get into this industry with good paying jobs for local people. So I hope that really does work out. But the thing I really need is hopefully that I can ask you, Selectmen, if you could allow the NEK broadband to locate an OLT communication unit at the fire station in Newport Center. That's it.
What is it that you wanted to put on, Dave? I missed that.
Sorry.
I missed what you were asking for the minutes. Can you tell me what you?
That we could locate our OLT NEK broadband OLT communications unit at Newport Fire Station,
Okay, thank you.
because that is your property.
Thank you.
Okay.
So as a department, we discussed it, me and Dave actually went down after the select meeting last time and looked at the location.
Yeah.
We talked about it at our meeting and we had no issues at all.
No.
Placing something down there.
Now, are you talking a building, a platform?
Yeah, it sounds like a 10 by 10.
Okay.
Probably it's gonna be a flat, it's gonna be a.
Correct.
It's gonna be a cement platform with a building.
Okay, so
Cement
buildings will be there as well.
Yeah.
Correct, Dave?
It's not really a building. It's just a unit with a door you open up to get to all the fancy stuff.
Okay. All right.
So do we have to go through a permit process for that?
Yeah, you have to fill a permit
Okay.
and zoning application.
So that's something
And again-
going on tonight?
Yes, Dave.
And again, NEK broadband will pay for the permit, pay for the installation, pay for everything, and get stuff in place for the next phase, which would be us. And they're very
Okay.
happy with location. It works out perfectly.
Is that something we need a motion on?
Because it's your property, I understand you have to allow us to use your land to locate this.
Are you guys, fire department, all good with it? Or you, everything? Yep.
Fire chief's here, he agrees, all good. So I'll make the motion that we go forward with the cement pad,
Whatever they need.
whatever they need, according to Mr. Willis here.
I like him.
Yeah. Oh, Mike? There is no financial obligation to the town. Is that
There is
correct?
there is no financial obligation to the town.
I didn't think there was. I want you to clarify that, okay?
It's good to have it in writing.
I don't believe no money is exchanging hands between fire department and
I asked,
you
it's
asked. Yeah,
still, I asked, she's
Yeah.
still noodling about it.
okay. So it may be something in the future.
Hopefully, reduce internet price. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, no money is exchanging hands. It's still in the works. So, but okay, so motion's on the table. I need,
I'll second it, and instruct Denise to get permits for it. I guess, does the fire department have to get them?
No, actually, that's town.
That's us.
That's the town.
So we'll have to get the permit.
okay,
So Dave, if you could meet with Denise and Jason to get the permit set up and everything, and I'll second it.
and do we have any further discussion on it?
Do I need to
Okay.
do something else?
Get a permit, get with Denise to get the permit to do it, to make sure everything's clarified.
I will
The
contact
dimensions-
them.
Yeah, where it's gonna be located, the dimensions of it.
Okay, I'll have the NAK broadband get on that. But it's
Okay.
good to go?
Well, as soon as you get a permit.
Okay, awesome.
Right,
Thank you, gentlemen.
You gotta get a building permit, Dave. We
Building
had the
permit with it?
The select board has to fill out a building permit. So does Jason Willis know the location of where you want this?
Kind of close, yeah.
Okay, so I can get together with him and fill out the permit and have the select board sign it. And then the zoning administrator will just sign it. It gets posted here for 15 days
Okay.
and then you're good to go.
I will find the exact dimensions for you before you do that.
Yes, please.
Okay, I will do that. I'll
Okay.
get back to you.
need
Thank
to-
you all.
Any further discussion? No, Steve, yes. Whoops. I have Steve, any further discussion?
No, I was just waving goodbye to Dave Gelly. That's
Oh,
all.
okay, okay.
I gotta cook supper.
Yeah. All
Okay.
right, very good. So,
All right. Thank you, guys.
thank you, Dave.
Stay well.
So we've had a motion, we've had it seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
I,
All right. There's no opposed. Motion's passed. All right, Newport Town Fire Department dispatching and water supply.
As Rick knows, it's not sounding great. We were told, Rick was at the meeting, that we hired the captain of the ESP dispatching. The commissioner wants a plan within 9 months to generalize or regionalize, I guess, dispatching. Sounded like Newport PD was gonna be our regionalization,
Doing county by county.
county by county. They haven't figured out who's paying for it, if that happens, how it's gonna be paid for, town responsibility, the state responsibility. As I believe the selectmen got a copy of the email that I got this weekend from Captain Burnham about dispatching and the troubles they're going through. I know Rick's been in conversations with Chief Bingham from Newport. I contacted Chief Bingham from Newport. They were gonna change their pay scale from 10-6 to, we don't know yet. I heard rumors today that it was gonna be possibly $50 per call. But we're waiting here exactly by the end of the week, supposedly. Rick, I don't know if you've heard anything.
I know I haven't, and he said by the end of the month, he'd have something probably in writing for me.
So just to give you, if they did a $50 per call, we average about 50 calls a year, that's about $2,500 for the year, which really is better than 10-6. If they, we have, as a department, Steve, Roberts, and Larry are both on. We do have concerns with Newport PD if they can handle everybody. But it's sounding like we're not gonna have a choice at some point.
I'm concerned with the amount of dispatchers, 911 or otherwise, for the state that are dropping like flies, either overworked or from COVID. And what, 11 this week?
They have an 84% turnover rate. It takes 6 months to.
It sounds to me like they streamlined that a little bit with these last 4 or 5 or 6 that came on.
We can tell.
Yeah, you can tell. Yeah. But, and I went a step further and I talked with Newport City Fire Chief John Hallemark. And he's hearing what's going on and it's just a nightmare. Yeah. So I think eventually that's what's going to end up having to happen, whether we like it or not.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
But
I don't know, Steve, Larry, Steve, Robert, I know we talked, myself and Larry talked about stuff this week that's come through.
either of you guys, Steve or Larry, got anything further to want to add?
Nothing really on terms of how inevitable this seems. That I don't know that we're going to have a choice. I was speaking to Derby Line Chief Elam this week. He was on a big conference call with the state and a bunch of other dispatched entities throughout the state, police, fire, and ambulance. And the state's finally admitted that closing the local barracks was a problem. And there's a push to restore that. Whether or not it'll ever happen, I don't know. There's a whole lot we don't know about the licensing. For instance, right now, Newport PD can dispatch us. They have the capability, but I don't believe they have a license for our frequency. That was done with their last police chief. They just put in a bunch of equipment they maybe didn't have any right to. As far as I know, there's no licensing for it. Hiring problems that the state are having are nationwide, not just in dispatching. Nobody can hire anybody for the stuff these days. So it concerns me that wherever we go, we're going to fight with the same problem. And as far as the quality of the dispatching, I don't have any qualms with what we know about what Newport has done so far, but it's not entirely up to them, because the state is not going to relinquish the PSAPs, the 911 answering points. And we know from talking to a lot of other people and problems that we've had, that quite often the PSAPs are a large part of the problem of the service we've been getting. They don't get good information, or they don't get it in timely manner, or they change things that they're asked for. So moving to Newport, I'd be all about it if I was absolutely convinced that we would get a good deal and get better service. I'm just not. My preference would be to kind of hold the state's feet to the fire here with the rest of the entities in the state that would like to try to get them to fix the problem. Whether or not there is a fix to the problem, I don't know. And it's important to know, I guess, when we talk about it, that the state police themselves are being shut down. They're not supporting their own officers. They're not supporting their programs. They're trying to foist off a lot of the duties that dispatchers should be doing on their own staff, and their state police manpower is way down as well. I've heard 40 to 50%, and that's not counting sick and other leaves. That's just slots that are open. So it's going to be a big problem. I don't disagree with Jason that we're likely to be forced into it. And if we are, we'll just have to work with them to try to make the best of it. But long term, they're underbidding it by, even the 10,000 mark is underbidding it by a huge margin. So at what point that we're owned by the state, by the city of Newport, will they decide to charge what it's worth? And at that point, we're going to be stuck. We're going to have no options. So these are my concerns. I do not have great answers for solutions, unfortunately.
So I got some numbers from Hyde Park in the last week of what Hyde Park town paid Lemoyle County Sheriff's Department for dispatching. For 85 fire calls, 269 EMS calls, they paid $71,000 for dispatching. Now, I know New Williams had 180 calls here last year, and we had 43 or 44 fire calls. I mean, it's close enough to see how much dispatching is, and as everything else tends to happen, the call numbers go up for everybody as years go by. So that's just an example I had that I could find out for those numbers right there. So that's a huge amount of money for that amount of calls for dispatching.
How many towns does Lemoyle dispatch for, though?
I don't know, just everybody Wayne Memorial County, so I'm not.
Okay.
I don't have who they exactly dispatch for. They're the dispatch center down there.
Oh, I know.
You know, I would say everybody in Memorial County.
Yeah.
Um,
Because I believe they even do some of the state police dispatch too. Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
And they're at PSAP.
Yeah.
They take 911 calls.
Yes.
Steve Robinson.
Steve, yes, go ahead. Roberts.
When you're talking about dispatching, it's important to remember that you don't pay them for what they do. You pay them for what they're ready to do.
No,
You need,
absolutely.
You need them 24/7, 365 if they never answer a call. And the people that we need in the position, we need professional employees. We don't want the part-timers that can't hold a job. We need people that are going to be able to demand a reasonable wage. And when you consider how many people it takes to staff one position 24/7, 365 with sick days and vacation days and training days and all the other stuff, it's a lot of money. So it's not possible, in my opinion, for Newport PD to do it long term for $2,500 or even $10,000. At some point, they're going to want everybody that they're working for to pay their share of the bill.
Well, keep in mind as well, the state police, if they move this up to Derby and start doing the dispatching for the fire departments around his area, they're going to charge as well. They're not going to do it for nothing.
Well, they don't have that opportunity to just do it. And they tried it a couple of years ago. Actually, they've tried it several times over the last several years. And it does require an act of the Vermont legislature to send us a bill. So they have routinely showed up at our mutual aid meetings, told us all we were going to get charged, and then had their feet shot out from under them, so to speak, on that point. And an important point to note on that is that our local legislatures at some of the same meetings have told us that the Vermont State Police public safety budget has never, ever been cut or voted down. They can have all the money they want. They just have to ask for it.
Yeah.
So I think some of this business of threatening to charge us has been a way to try to get us to move our service voluntarily without them having to admit how much trouble they were in. But it's finally really just come to the point where they've had to admit how much trouble they're in.
Yeah. Well, it's certainly a troublesome situation, that's for sure. What's going to end up? I don't know.
I don't either.
Oh,
Because what Vernon Smith asked that lady was, well, Commissioner Sherlin wants a plan within 9 months, but we could be shut down in a month if we keep on losing dispatchers. That week he was with us, he came up to us, he lost a dispatcher that day, he was getting rid of one the next day, and the following week, another one was getting done. So he had 3 people get done within a week. Said these numbers keep continuing, we might have to shut down. And like Steve said, that's shut down not just for fire and EMS that they dispatch, that's for their troops.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And that's
Oh, yeah.
that's not a good thing.
Every state agency is out there looking to make money somehow. They all do it. I worked for them for years. I agree with Steve that I think to jump into something at a certain price, it's been happened in the past, and then all of a sudden they can charge you. Once they got you, they can charge you anything they want. You definitely need to do something. I don't know if it's put pressure on our legislatures to get dispatching back up here. I feel we're paying tax dollars. The state is funded. Like he said, I agree. I think public safety gets a good share of the money that they need. And we need to put the pressure on to get it back here. Whether it'll happen or not is another thing.
We as a mutual aid, we're writing a letter to the governor and to the commissioner as a mutual aid, and to try to push what we would like to see. If it's gonna work, I don't know. You know, everything's up in the air. We don't know. Tomorrow I told my officers, I said, this was Saturday, when I emailed them an email I got, was don't be surprised if Newport PD all of a sudden is dispatching for us and we don't know it. All of a sudden like that.
Yeah.
You know, because that's what it sounds like it might happen. You know, DSP might not be able to, and they might just transfer the call to,
Right.
you know,
Right.
and that's not good for them either, because they're gonna.
Any thoughts on doing your own dispatch?
We can,
Couldn't do it. Couldn't do it?
we'd have to pay somebody.
Well, that's what I mean. Yeah.
I think that's been tried by some departments and
It's just not.
Yeah.
if
And it's
you,
more of a cluster for the staffs getting a call in and then trying to figure out, I mean, they have an issue now, trying to get the right department anyway, like brought to you guys.
we're so spread out. If you're in an area where it's really close, it makes it a lot easier and, you know, even for police department to do it.
From my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, but Captain Burnham said the way it goes is that even if they discontinue services, they're still going to keep the 911.
They're gonna take 911 callers and they'll spread that out.
Right. But from what the conversation went is that the 911 call comes in to Williston, they're going to flop it over to Newport PD, and Newport PD is the one going to do the toning out. So we got a 911 call, and then they push a button and it rings to Newport PD. And what's the delay?
But like you said, you know, he's got a 911 call agent sitting here with a slider, and then they have a dispatch sitting next to him. They still have to pick up the phone and call that dispatch next to him to relay what's going on. So
There's a delay. But I don't have a good answer.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We don't, I don't beat myself there.
Yeah.
The officers have talked about it extensively. We don't have an answer. You know, we don't know, we don't. Smart thing to go down. At some point, we're gonna have to, you know, but no, we can't jump in, like you said, we can't jump into things we don't know. You know.
How many-
Like you said, too much unknown.
Do you have a,
I was figuring out at $50 call. Steve said, because I heard that Derby Line was going, but I called Steve and we talked to Craig, because, you know, we know them better. And he got a $10,000 start with Newport PD when he decides he wants to go. And so I did, that's 200 calls at 50, and that's roughly what Derby Line has for a call load.
that Derby and Derby line together?
Yeah, Derby Line.
Okay.
Derby Line Fire Department, so they cover Derby Line.
So-
Morgan, kind of Morgan and Paul.
So if Newport PD took on all the fires, all the EMS in Orleans County, do we have a figure of how many people that would be? Okay,
'Cause right now they're doing all of EMS except for Glover.
they are. Right now.
They have, Orleans ambulance, Newport ambulance, and Cisco. The only one that's not with them is Glover.
And they have Newport Fire and they have Irisburg Fire in Orleans as well. Okay, so they're doing 3 of them already.
So when you look at it, our call volume is about twice, ours is 50, about 50 average. North Troy's is about 30, roughly right around there. So, I mean, the call volume's not huge for them. You one incident might stretch them to a point where, you know, or if they have a incident, big incident on this side, then they have one on the opposite side, the department in the county.
But I think if anything, we need to get the word out there, or someone needs to get the word out there and get people to start calling the legislature. It looks to me like we need state dispatchers back up here,
I would agree, and that's what we thought.
and that needs to be the push.
They can move, because Burnham said that's what he wants.
That's what he wants.
And I think the state knows that they made a mistake when they did this. Whoever did it at the time doesn't want to admit it, and they're trying to make it back. We need to get it back. When we had it here, there was still mistakes, but it weren't as bad as it is because it's local people. They know where
Yeah.
things
And
are.
like Burnham said up there, you're a part-time for years before you can even get a full-time,
Right.
because the full-timer stays.
Correct.
Yeah.
Down there,
They're dropping like
he
flies.
said he could pay him $30 an hour and he still wouldn't get it.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
All right, anybody else got anything further?
on this-
No, just, okay, All right, what else? Water.
So let me make this clear. When we discuss water issues, we're not talking about the hydrants, not talking about the water system in town. That's a no-go. That's not even part of our conversation when we say we have water issues in the town for firefighting. So the Cyril's Road fire, we couldn't get water down here. It just froze over. Larry didn't feel safe going out on the ice. I don't blame him.
Okay.
The way the weather was that day, I don't blame him. We don't have a lot of options in this winter time. We really don't. It ended up, the decision made, we had a couple trucks go to the city, to the water tower. We had a couple trucks, tankers go to Troy, and then everybody ended up, they just went to North Troy. And the issue is not getting water to the sink. That's not, it's, the issue is having a place to fill those trucks up to come back to the scene. So it's not getting trucks to the scene with water. We had, for ourselves, we had 6,000 gallons on scene when we got there.
Yeah.
And we used every bit of it. Between Troy, North Troy, Jay, and Lowell, we had another 15,500. We figured we used between 30 and 40,000 gallons of water. So that's where the water comes in, of where do we get the water to keep coming and not calling out every department in our area to strip every town of a tanker. That just, we can, but then you're putting other towns at risk.
But isn't that where mutual aid is? That's what it's
Oh,
for?
absolutely. That's absolutely for.
Yeah.
You know, if you look at that fire, we had us, we had Troy, we had North Troy, Jay, and Lowell.
Hmm.
So this side, we're stripped of tankers, right? Now I could have called in Orleans, I could have called in ours, could have called in Derby Line, but that strips.
What are these other towns do?
Village of North Troy has hydrants. So anything that they cover on the town of Troy, they just go back to the village and get water. The town of Troy has hydrants, but they can't really use them. Their reservoirs not big enough to use like us. So ponds, dry hydrants, whatever they can get to. We have dry hydrants, but nothing here. If it's winter, it's summertime, springtime, fall time, we can drive up on Barrett's lawn, drop in, and get water out of there. Not an issue. That dry hydrant has broke. Steve and Larry said every time they tried to fix it, the water used to come rushing down and just break. So that's a no-go. For it right here, we have nothing. In wintertime, we have nothing. We have to haul it from somewhere. I'd like to change that somehow, some way. I don't know the answer.
Do you have any recommendations?
A pond would be great. But I'm just saying, you know, a pond, something we can get to 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. We don't have to worry about it. On Vance Hill, behind it, I don't know if everybody knows where my mother lives, George St. Ange and Blair. Behind their house, there's a pond that Tom, I don't know his last name, next to my he doesn't use it. With that, I know my mother and George said absolutely. Would he give us permission to dig that pond out, make it a little bit bigger, give us the right of way? My mother already said that we could go down through their field and put a regular hydrant on Armstrong Road with PVC pipe to it, gravity fed, that we could just hook a hose up to. And filter.
What stopped it from freezing in the winter?
It's freezing in the winter just like every other pond.
No, what stops the water going down?
It's 4 feet. It's below the freezing.
Okay, you
bury it.
okay, all right.
There's options.
What about right down here on 105 by the culvert? Big area.
That's a big area. That's a big pull for trucks. Huge pull.
But could you make a road down to it?
Good. If it's gonna be plowed in the winter time.
Well, that would be the thing.
You know,
Slow down, you know?
absolutely. There's options. And that's why, you know, my guys have been thinking about it. You know,
But anything we go to's gotta be plowed in the winter.
everything we go to.
I mean, that brook up there beyond where the fire was, I mean, I'm guessing Shappitz would be more than happy to give you access,
Oh, yeah.
a road down in there to put a hydrant. I know, I think Pat knows own this down here, but I'm not sure if they're selling it to Shappitz or what's going on, but one side or the other, I would bet that they would be willing to put,
Yeah, no,
let
and
you
that-
put a
and that's
road
the
in.
thing that, money-wise, we're going for grants for dry hydrants for our road at Dana Ford's house, that hopefully this spring we're gonna put in. You know, there's one on, up on Collins Mill Road, on Bonin Road that we're looking at. You know, so we're trying, but for the middle of town, you know, it's rough. It's rough.
I know when I was in the fire department, all we had is a float thing, and we threw it in the water, and if it was ice, you went out there with a pipe bowl and you
And
chopped the
normally,
hole and you did what you needed to do.
normally that's what we do. You know, it's not an issue. We've done it many thousands of times. It's just when, you know, that ice, you know, I'm not gonna lose a guy,
No,
you know,
I understand. Yeah.
so that's where I'm dealing with the whole thing with the village of North Shore about that whole fire about getting water.
Yeah.
And it's not them. Actually, the trustees of the village are writing me a letter saying that we can get water there anytime we need.
I think there's options out there. We just need to look at. Oh, I think the town would be willing to help out with building a road. We have equipment, we have, you know, it'd be a time thing when we can do it.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's not gonna.
And then the drivers, but if you're gonna get grants, that helps too. So I think there's options there. We just need to explore them and go from there.
Exactly. You know,
Yeah.
what you guys are willing to help with, you know, with the gravity fed hydrant, we don't have to truck there. That would be, if the pond, and obviously you can't go look at it now, if something feeds into it, if, you know.
Yeah, I don't know what that's at.
That's quite a ways off the road.
Yeah.
These others will be
yeah.
closer.
But the thing is, though, if you run a pipe to Armstrong Road.
You're right there.
Gravity feed right there.
Yeah.
You know, so there's options, there's many options, it's just,
So would it be worthwhile for the fire department to talk to Tom Perot?
oh yeah, I planned on it, just with everything after the holiday time. Talk to him yet.
I'd say come up with some game plans and, you know, bring it to us.
I would talk to Shepherds. I mean, they have access to a lot of different places, and I know they're willing to help out.
Yep, no,
I
the resident, like,
Probably Patton will still own that. I don't think they sold that with Shepherds.
They own the greenhouse.
Right, so that would be where it is.
Yeah.
So that would, because I think you come in from this side of the culvert, there would be other people owning it from the other side.
yeah, and
I don't know. So, but I believe you can make a road down in there east. And then it would be a matter of keeping it.
Yeah, and we're still coming up. I don't know if Larry and Steve have any other ideas, but we're thinking, trying to figure out.
Yeah.
Larry and Steve, do you have anything?
Any other ideas, Larry, Steve?
No, I don't have anything. I just know that we're not the only town that has a water issue.
Right.
And, you know, and I'm not a fireman, but if I needed water, I would want a lot of it and in a hurry and it being reliable. So with that said, where do you put that criteria first? And then how do we get that to us?
Agreed.
Well, I think they're looking too for help from us, and I think we're all willing to help if, you know, we have solutions. It's just getting the solution.
Yeah.
I think there's sources, it's a bad time of year, but there's sources of water out there, and we just need to talk to these people and see what can be done.
I agree.
Steve Roberts?
Can I ask about the dam here in the village? Is it,
There is no dam in the village.
it's just never gonna get taken out?
The permit process would be overwhelming to even go through. The
I
cost
expect
would be,
correct.
the cost would be outrageous. If we resurrect it and hold water back, then we go back to water problems in some houses here in the cellar.
Yeah, I'm aware. There's a lot of frustration.
If there.
Okay.
So the town's position on that is just leave it alone.
We did have an inspection.
Yes, it was inspected.
Great to have one, and I'd love to see it come back, but then it's gonna create a lot of other problems. You know?
But when that was a real pond that we could get at from 3 sides, that was an awful good resource.
It was,
And
it was.
now that it's a mud hole, that we can only get from, 4 feet from the bridge, it's a lot more complicated.
And that's the thing. Years ago, they dredged it out. It was very good, but the farmland above it has filled it in over the years again, and we're right back to square one.
Yep.
So, damned if we do and damned if we don't.
The old Bronx farm too, they have that big.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just full of water.
Not nice water, but it's full
Not
of water.
Nice water, but
It's water.
there's options.
Sure.
It's just- And that's why I wanted to bring it to you guys, mention, we're all thinking,
And Chappaqua would probably be agreeable to
yeah, I
put something in there.
gave Mike shit because he did that work on Friar Road with those ponds.
Yeah.
Then you got to sit with the need for dry hydrogen. Oh, next time, let's go Mike do it, Reg do it. So next time, you're gonna talk to me.
Yeah.
Have you given any thought to resurrecting your tank that's in the ground?
But that tank will what is it, 20,000 gallons, guys? That tank underground,
No. 8,000.
8,000.
That's what I thought.
Like I said, with the water we had there, we were at 15,500 gallons. And
Right.
to refill those to come out, we use 30 to 40,000 gallons. So really, I mean,
Well, if you resurrected that and had something there that you could get 10,000 gallons right off.
but that's only 2 loads. So you can't set up somewhere and only expect 2 loads when you're expecting another 10 on top of that.
Well,
That's just takes too much time.
I mean, even the guy up on the hill, Azor's old place, that big pond is there.
Yeah.
No.
No, and then like I said, there's options. So if you guys hear anybody is gonna build a pond.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, it's gonna be almost impossible to do that. Permits.
That's all I got.
This is just.
Okay. Yes, you could say something.
It'd be nice, like, if you guys, this is just an idea, but if you guys talk to like Tom Perotti or Mike and Reggie Shappa, if they would come to a meeting so that, we could get this ironed out, get everybody in the same room, have a public meeting, talk about, it's just an idea, but absolutely.
Hopefully by middle of summer.
Yeah.
But like I said, right now, as far as the little trustees are concerned, we're good. If we have to get water there, we're fine. Their fire chief, so but that doesn't matter. Yeah, I'm getting a letter from their trustees stating that
We're all good out there.
we're all out there.
Okay. Sounds
Not
good.
an issue at all.
Sounds good. Good. All right. Anybody else have anything on this? Yes, Steve Barrup.
I got one question. One of our trucks was set up to do foam. Do we still do that?
We do.
Yeah.
Our engine one's still set up. Yep.
Yes, that's the short answer. Okay. All right. Anybody else? No?
I want to thank you guys for what you do.
Yeah.
Oh,
We enjoy it. Actually, I don't know if you guys saw last weekend's debate at the station, but we cut up about 7 or 8 cars
Oh, really?
over 2 days. Yep. We got our training with our job with Todd Bernard.
Nice. Oh, yes.
So he came down.
Todd came up?
We paid him to come down and train us, and we just so you guys know, he's been doing education for 30, 40 years. He knows a lot. The equipment that we got with that rescue, he was very impressed. And he said it's probably worth about $80,000.
No kidding.
The equipment that we got with that truck.
How did you acquire that truck?
That was all by fundraising money. We paid $40,000 for it.
No cost to the taxpayer?
None. Unless you bought a ticket.
Thank you.
All right, moving right along. Nobody else has anything? Okay. All right, road commissioners report. I see.
Mike wasn't able to, he has
Right.
an emergency.
Yep. All right.
We do have a budget meeting next week.
Yeah, we need to sign that. With my lips.
Yes. If I can find it.
Okay.
Nothing has changed on that.
Thank you, yeah. Water sewer, solar panel report. We have anything, anybody wants to report on that?
No, Mike said that all was going, good, as far as he could tell.
Solar panels have been working the way they should.
When the snow's not covering them. All right. Sign orders, review and approve bank statements.
We've been
Doing that?
Yeah.
You do? Oh. Oh.
Okay, so DJ, here. Sign right here, approved.
On the sign need.
Or we got a majority, so
We
we're,
got a majority, I
yeah.
guess we're good.
okay, and then there is,
Steve's
the,
asking a question.
Oh, yes, Steve, go ahead.
Are we signing a liquor license for the brewery? Do you know that?
no, they haven't applied for one.
Okay.
It's just the ones that were warned on the agenda, but the bistro rusticals, they did not get theirs in time. So he told me we hopefully by the February meeting they'll have his.
Okay.
Just
I mean,
collaborative.
the only reason I asked is, you know, they are dispensing there, and I just want to make sure we know about it, I guess.
We went through that with the state liquor inspector. And I got an answer on it, and I can't remember what it was.
It's something to do with last. July, it was supposed to be.
They were supposed to apply to the state to get a license, correct? If I remember right.
Something like that.
I think that is correct, but you know, the state's lacking a lot nowadays,
well,
so.
yeah. We might have to investigate that a little bit. All right, so any unfinished or new business?
I do have something, can I see?
Yes.
Yep.
The sheriff's department, Jen Harlow wanted to know if we wanted her to come to, a meeting. You guys saw in your packet, Steve, you didn't see it, but, they're level funding the patrol rate of $55.12, but her appropriation is up from last year. From, I forget what it was last year, 18, I think, roughly. 18,520 to 22,929. That's not an increase in the patrol rate. That's an increase in the number of hours that she would like to patrol in the town of Newport. She's asking to allow for 32 hours a month as opposed to, I believe, 28.
Yes.
Yeah. If there is any issue, she will come to a meeting. Of course, we're under the gun because the warning has to be put to bed by the 30th, but I just wanted to know if you guys wanted me to ask her to come to. Yeah.
That's a separate line item for town meeting, correct, for sheriffs?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so not a problem.
Well, I still think we should invite her to our budget meeting, and we can have a discussion with her about her patrols and.
I don't have any questions from them. I mean, they're doing what they're doing. I do see the reports, you know, that was included in a board packet. And, you know, I almost don't think that they are doing enough, but I don't know.
That was my concern that I wanted to express to her.
That's why I'd like to meet with her.
Okay.
I can ask her. And just to give you guys a heads up relative to town meeting, we are, as you guys know, a 4-vote town. It is in legislature right now, an emergency bill to see if we can do what we did last year, off the floor towns, meaning choose to go to Australian ballot or choose to postpone the meeting or to, go forward as like the old days on March 1st. I did get word from the Secretary of State's office today that did pass. The governor has not yet signed the bill, but he is planning on signing it as soon as they get an answer. They're going to send a memo out to all the town clerks. So hopefully by our budget meeting, we can discuss that and make a decision, just giving you guys something to think about. I have talked to the school board about it. And the school board would like to do the same thing as last year and do whatever you guys decide to do. So I just wanted to give you guys a heads up so you guys could ponder that the next couple days. That's all I had.
Okay, Barry, you had something else?
Yeah, I did. Last few meetings, I notice one meeting, Jerry is the select board chair doing his duties, and then you're doing the select board duties of moderating the. And so I wonder, what's that all about? I mean, the thing that bothers me is to do this all of a sudden out of the blue. I mean, it requires communication, and I mean, I know you people are not too keen on laws, but it should be done at an open meeting. If you're gonna be what's going on? Are you the training to be the select board chair, or are you filling in to take Steve Barrup's duties? Can you help me out on that?
We're sharing the wealth.
I can. I mean, we are all created equal. We are elected at different times so that the town is not without a quorum of select board members at any one time. That's why every year there's an election and it's for a 3-year term. So I think it's appropriate that everybody share in the duties, and that's what we are doing.
Oh, that's nice to hear. I mean, I have no objection in that, but I would like to see more sharing of the duty and, putting a little time in extra, you, Rick, and you, Jerry, into understanding the laws a little better. Like I said, I explained today, I mean, Jerry, private property. That's not a law, Jerry. We need a law. And, like in Rick, you could do a little work on that too. I mean, sharing in the duties, it's just whatever someone says is the law, and no one's allowed to question it. And it's for the better good of the people, because when you don't respect the law, the people of the town are cheated of their constitutional rights. And that's a fact. So I think that should be on the table a little more often. Private property. That doesn't tell you anything. Or, all of these little things, and we're being cheated. We're being cheated out of our constitutional rights, not to know about what's going on with money and all these rules. By the way, the rules that you coming, it is illegal and forbidden by our Constitution to enforce ground rules. It is only these ground rules are only suggestions how you would like to be, and I felt as though these ground rules were enforced on me, and I can have specific things. But just so you know that, I can show you the statute. I am for the better good of this town. I know you don't think so, but I am. That's all I'm doing. I'm getting information, I study, and I try to make people listen, but they don't always listen. They take offense by it, and they have their own agendas, too. Now, I want to quote Howard Starr. He said this. I had a conversation with him, and he said, ask yourself this question. He said, why would they not want to answer questions? Because, when it's the law, when it's our Constitution, why would they not want to do that? Ask yourself that. Why do not people, why is there transparency issues? That's what he said. I hope he doesn't take offense on it, but it's a real good question. Ask yourself. Goodbye.
Okay, any unfinished business? Do we need an executive session?
Not that I know of.
It's over?
Mhm.
Yeah, who's got COVID?